Okay, start of a new day. So you always wake up a few seconds before dawn, so you'll find out what your day number is shortly after getting out of bed. As you can see, we're on day 4, and we're just going to grab some more flint to make this chopping block upgrade. I believe I've mentioned it already, but finding flint is so easy. Any body of water, just walk along the water's edge and you'll find plenty of it. It's rectangular shaped, lighter grey, and looks a bit like stone. You just have to look at it to pick it up, the same way you do with stone and wood and other things. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Gonna take out this deer. Oh, maybe not. I'm actually going to take out a neck instead. Wow, that neck just saved you. Although, to be fair, I think that probably would have hit the ground and missed, so at least we killed something. Necktail is better than nothing at all, I suppose. And yeah, that is pretty much the easiest way to find flint, is just to find any body of water and just walk along the water's edge. Rivers, lakes, the ocean, even smaller ponds you can find some, so it's not a difficult thing to farm. But just be aware of your carry weight. You do have a carry weight in this game, and it is a 300 maximum. You can increase it with an item later on, and there might be other items in future that you can use from the new update, which I haven't seen yet, but there is one item you can use to increase your carry weight, which we'll showcase when we get to it. But yeah, now that we have enough flint, we only needed a few bits. We're just going to run back and build our chopping block upgrade for the crafting table. Now, as you can see from the chopping block, there are these sparkly lines going from the block itself to the crafting table, which shows that it is an upgrade for that table and that it is connected to it. And you can see now we are workbench level 2. We now have access to our armor sets, a cape and a helmet, different types of arrows. So yeah, you can also tell in the workbench inventory on the right hand side, if you look at the star in the top right, that has a number 2 in it. So that means that the workbench is level 2. So if you ever need to check what level your workbench is, you can just check it there, rather than having to build another upgrade or take one down, stuff like that. And the armor pieces both have 2 armor each, so we have now gone from 1 to 4. Doesn't seem like a huge jump, but it is very helpful. As you're progressing through the game, you will have much higher armor, and yeah, it does have a use. But one thing to also be aware of is that you can dodge a lot of attacks in the game. For the majority of attacks you can dodge as well. There is a dodge roll mechanic very similar to Dark Souls, which I will showcase with a certain enemy that we're going to be seeing very soon. And for now, I think we're just going to gather some wood to start a boar farm. Okay, so with the boar farm, the first thing we want to do is to build a boar pen, so a walled off area that we can lure the boars into before we start taming them. So we will need a bit of wood for that. We will also need some fruit or vegetables, depending on what stage of the game you decide to tame them. You can tame boar with any fruit or veg, so raspberries and other things like blueberries, carrots, onions, all that kind of good stuff. So I always think raspberries are the best to do, to use for taming boar, as you can do what I've done in this playthrough and mark a whole bunch of raspberry spawn locations on your map, and then just go run around there and gather 50 to 100 of them in 5 minutes, and you've got plenty of raspberries to use for it. But yeah, let's get started on building our pen. We're going to use the smaller stake walls, as you can see, not the smaller stake walls, sorry, the smaller wooden fence, like the round pole fence, rather than the stake walls, because walls don't do that much damage, so we don't need to worry about them being knocked down. Unless, of course, the boar sit there attacking them for a good while. Now, when you're trying to tame a boar, you do have to get them to chase you and try and attack you, so that you can lead them into this pen. So you will have to leave one of the, segments down, so that you can actually run in there and get the boar to chase you. It's a bit of a pain sometimes, especially with some of the animals, because some of them that you can tame can do a lot of damage. So yeah, just to be aware that you can take some damage from these animals as you're trying to tame them. But yeah, now that we've got our little pen built, let's go and find a boar or 2 and try and lead them into this area. I'm pretty sure that we saw 2 boar out here earlier when I was gathering flints. I think I caught wind of them. I think that's our first one just in front of us there. He's hiding in the grass. Yep, there he is. Okay, that's our first boar. Let's get him to chase us. That red exclamation mark above his name is basically telling us that the boar is frightened and will start chasing and attacking us. So we just need him to chase us all the way back to the actual pen itself. And then whilst we're in the pen, we are going to have to put this section of wall back up. So if we stand inside near the back, the boar should chase us. Oh, no, he's not. He's buggered off instead. Right, I think that has to do with our campfire. A lot of animals don't like fire, so I think if we take this down, that should stop them from running away. Once boar have hit you, and with a lot of animals, once they've actually hit you once, they will just then start running around in a bit of a circle. They'll run away from you for a little bit, and then they'll come back and hit you again. Sometimes that can happen to the point where the animal will run far enough away that it'll lose interest in you, so try and make sure that you stay close enough to the boar whilst you're making it chase you so that it doesn't run off and you have to go back and start again. Luckily enough, we did manage to find him and get him back. Where's he gone? Oh, he's in the house. Right, okay, wrong house, buddy. There we go, we've got him, and we get the fence down. Perfect. Right, that is boar number 1. Now, I'm almost certain we saw boar number 2 by those trees, so we're just going to go and investigate. Should be right over here. Come on, little boar. I know it's there. You are. Right. Come here, you. Come and chase me. Now, the awkward part here is going to be getting both of them in the pen at once. We're basically just going to have to stand in the pen and kind of time it in a way that they're both inside and we can put the wall segment back down. So if we knock this segment here down, we might have to do 2 of them because I'm not sure there's enough space to get them through that gap. Well, he ran out of there. We'll take it down anyway, just to be sure. Alright, that's 1. But he is going to then... Out. Okay, he is then going to run out. Okay, yep, that happened. So, let's get this first segment in. There's both of them, right? The first segment and the second one. Is that gap there? Ah, there's a gap there. He's going to run out. Yep. Awkward. This is the awkward part about building pens and stuff, is you have to kind of time it so they're both in there. Right, let's open up another hole. Okay, they've both run at me. They're both running outside. Come on, you two. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Right, get the fence down. Right, I think that's spot on. Yeah, perfect. Look at that. We have our boar. Right, now we can begin the taming process. So, now that we've trapped our animals, in order to tame them, we need food. Now, when feeding boar and when taming boar, you need to throw the raspberries or whatever the fruit that you're using to tame them, you need to throw it on the floor. It's pretty much any fruit or veg, like I've said, but for now we're just going to use raspberries because we have a large amount of them. I believe over the course of taming time you need 4 separate bits of food. I might be wrong about that, it might be best to look that part up once you start taming. I always just grab anywhere between 15 and 20 bits of food and just drop them on the floor. And we now have to sit and wait. What we're waiting for is that red exclamation mark above their head to stop being there, so it means they're not frightened. And then shortly after that you will then see these little golden hearts that appear coming off their heads. You should see them fairly soon. They're not frightened now, so they should stop attacking the fence. We're just waiting for those little hearts. They've got food, they've got a pen. There we go. On the left-hand side, you'll see that little icon that's just kind of floating upwards. That is the golden hearts. That's basically the game's way of telling you that the boars are currently being tamed. Now, there's several ways that you can check on the taming progress of an animal. You can sneak up to the fence and look at them, and then it will say taming, and then it will be a percentage. But I'm a bit cheaty when it comes to stuff like that. I've just gone onto Google and searched for the taming time for all the animals. Boars are half an hour. I'm pretty sure every animal is half an hour. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to pause the recording and come back shortly before they are tame so that you guys don't have to sit and watch me sit here for half an hour watching these boar. It's mainly so that I can go and watch something whilst waiting that half an hour and just leave the game timed out. That is the awkward part about taming. You can't just go off and do something else. You can't just go to a different biome or go off the farm and stuff like that. You have to be nearby, but you don't want to be close enough so that the animals are still frightened and attacking the fence, because they will eventually break that fence. So this is what I do. I sit a bit away from them and I sneak as well so that they're less likely to know that I'm here. Now we have cooked recently, so we should be very close to taming them. I just want to have a quick look at this behind us. Some of the scenic views you can get in Valheim are absolutely beautiful. When we sail, I'll try and show you some of the more beautiful parts of the game, because they have done an amazing job at the way the game looks, I will say. Especially with the way the sun works. Now, it shouldn't be that far away from taming these two. Still getting the golden hearts, so they're still being tamed. It has been half an hour, or nearly half an hour, so we should have a message pop up on our screen very shortly, which will tell us that the boars have been tamed, and then we can name them, we can pet them, and we can feed them. We can also breed them. In order to breed animals, you do need to leave them some food in their pens, and there needs to be 2 of them. And then after a certain amount of time, they will breed, and a baby boar will pop out. And then I believe it's about 50 minutes in-game time that it takes for them to grow into an adult, and then you can slaughter them to get the meat and the leather scraps. There we go. Boar 1 has been tamed. Just waiting on Boar 2. And there we go. Boar number 2. Let's name them. I think we're just going to call them Barry and Bessie. Very typical British names for boar. I'm not sure what the British names for boar would usually be. But yeah, there we go. We have our 2 boar. So those little love hearts there were the boar taming each other. Taming each other? Sorry, boar were breeding with each other. And you can also love them as well, which will make those little love hearts appear. But when you see a lot of love hearts come out all at once and they're stood right next to each other, that means that they are breeding and there will be a baby boar very soon. They will also let out quite a loud grunt, like a boar grunt that you'll hear. Sometimes you'll just be stood in your base and you'll hear it. That is them birthing a new boar, a new baby boar. So, yeah. We've now named our boar. We're all sorted with that. We've left them some food as well, so they will continue to do that. Now, they will eat the food over time, so you will need to go back periodically and check on the food. They can go hungry, and I believe they can die from being hungry as well. So yeah, just make sure that you're going back and checking on the progress and making sure they've got food. And here, I'm just going to show you a little trick when it comes to chests. You can stack chests on top of each other, but you do need to have a little wooden panel for the chest to sit on. If I was to destroy this panel after building the chest would just collapse. So it's a little cheaty way that you can see cheaty. It's a little mechanic way you can use to stack chests on top of each other. I just want to put all of my food in this one chest and keep it separate. I do have a better system than this when it comes to organizing storage, but we don't have enough items yet to need to use that. Plus this chest is the basic chest. There are bigger chests that we can use, so I will again, I will get onto making that storage at some point. Now we're going to put a couple of these cooking stations on top of this fire because you can have multiple of them. I believe it's 3 in total that you can have. So we can do 4 bits of meat at once rather than 2. And yeah, so that is our boar farm completed. Like I say, it takes a bit of time. It's a bit of a wait, but it's not difficult. The only difficult part is when you're later on in the game wanting to tame some more powerful animals, which will, again, I will be taming them once we get to them. They can be quite a challenge to do, so yeah, but I'll show you some other methods and other ways of doing that once we actually get to them. Just while we're cooking some meat and stuff like that, I've had a few thoughts. First of which is that I'm definitely going to tear this whole building down soon and rebuild a nice big house for us. We haven't got a floor to start with, and we also haven't got a front door or anything like that. So yeah, we're definitely going to tear this whole building down and start again very soon and build ourselves a nice big house. We're going to need a lot more space considering that we are getting upgrades for the crafting table, and we're going to have more crafting tables soon now that we're getting close to going to the Black Forest and killing off Eikthyr. So yeah, we're going to need a lot more space. It is something that you'll notice throughout the playthrough of a game as you're progressing through it, is that you'll need more and more and more space as time goes on. Again, it's one of the reasons why I like to pick a nice big open spot by the coast when I start playing a game as my first base location, because you're going to need that space at some point. You're also going to need somewhere nice and calm for your crafting and farming and stuff like that. We are obviously going to need farms as well. It's not just animals that we can tame, we can also grow fruit and veg once we found them. So that is something we're going to need at some point in future. And there's also a couple of things we haven't finished in the meadows yet. So before we go off to Eikthyr, I do want to do a bit more exploring, a bit more gathering of materials. I also want to see if we can find some more Black Forest biomes so that when we do actually start going there, we can have some areas already marked out to go to. And we also haven't found any bees yet. I'm quite sad that we haven't found any bees yet. I really wanted to have some bees running at this point. Again, like I've said, you can mostly find them in abandoned buildings, and we've explored a few, but we haven't found anything yet, which is quite sad. So we'll try and find some. We'll go out and have a bit more of an explore. But yeah, I think we just need to continue cracking on with the meadows. There's a few more bits we need to finish off before we think about Eikthyr, but we are getting very close to it as well. Hopefully in an episode or two we should be thinking about going to Eikthyr and getting her getting him killed, getting them killed, so that we can get our nice big upgrade tool for going to the Black Forest. Yes, we have our first piggy! Woohoo! Little piggy. Finally. I thought these two have been going at it for a while since we first tamed them, so I'm surprised it took this long for them to bless us with a new life on the server. Now, this little piggy is going to take a while to grow up into an adult piggy, so we can't rename him, can't really do anything with him right now. We're just going to have to let him be. But it is a good sign that they have plenty of food, that there is enough space in the pen for them to breed and produce more piggies. Now, one thing I neglected to mention when we first spoke about taming and breeding is that when you're breeding animals, you can have a certain amount of them in a certain space. Don't ask me for the specifics on that because I have no clue whatsoever, but one thing I do realize is that after a certain amount of time, your pigs and your animals will stop breeding and stop producing more because the space they're in is too small for them to have more. And what you need to do if you want to continue is to increase the size of your pen. So I think in this current space we can probably get 5 or 6 of them, and then after a while we will increase the size of the pen. We'll just add an extra bit onto the side and knock the wall in the middle down, and we'll be able to have more piggies. But again, I only really want to have between 5 or 10 of them at once, because after a certain amount of time we will then slaughter them down to 2 and let them start the process all over again, so that we can farm the bits of meat and things for them. We might even grow it to the point where we can have 10 to 20 of them, maybe, if we get that far in. Depends on how much meat and scraps we're going to need going over the playthrough. We might not need that many more, so we'll basically just wait for the demands of the industry before we actually need to increase the supply, so to speak. But yeah, we have our first little piggy. Really happy with that. Means that our breeding and pen size and food amounts and stuff like that are all good. You can still see that there's some food in there as well, so they've got plenty to be going on with. One quick thing you might have noticed there as well is that you have to keep an eye out for where trees and logs are falling when you're chopping them down, as we got smacked in the face by one of them as it fell earlier, and it did nearly half of our health bar in one hit. And it also staggered us backwards a little bit. Oh my god, what is going on here? Bruh. Seriously, why are you on top of that building? We're gonna have to get on there somehow. We should be able to jump on from this side. Yeah, there we go. Then we can just roll it off. There we are. Stupid. We could have just chopped it down whilst we were up there, I suppose. Oh, no, it's running away from us. That is one thing you do need to be aware of with wood and tree logs when you cut them down and cut them apart, is that you can manipulate them quite easily. You can move them about a fair bit, but they will also deal a little bit of damage to you when you try and stop them. And this tree right here is too hard for us to cut down, this birch tree. This is another level of tree that we're going to need a bit later on in the game. It's actually quite short. Very shortly we're going to need these. But yeah, we can't cut it down currently as the tree's wood is too hard for this type of axe to cut. So we're going to have to wait until a bit later on. I believe it's our next level of upgrade in terms of tools. Go away, little grayling guy. We don't want you. Thank you very much. And yeah. So yeah, just be careful when you're cutting trees down and make sure you're paying attention to where the logs are falling, because the last thing you want is to get squashed by one of those and have to do a corpse run.